Hey, listen to Wrestling Up on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Discord, we got Josh.
Hey!
Looking ahead at Survivor Series coming up this weekend, there are 4 matches on the card. We're going to talk about those first, and then if we got time, we're going to look at the other half of NXT Gold Rush as well. Been a busy few weeks, but let's look at Survivor Series. We've got 2 War Games matches and 2 title matches. I'm going to talk John Cena, Dominic Mysterio first. Intercontinental Championship on the line. Cena obviously picking it up, getting the Grand Slam in his hometown off of Dominic. Dominic's still AAA Mega Champion, and coming into the second to last match that we will see from John Cena.
As much as I'd love to see Cena win here, that means that it would mean Gunther becomes the Intercontinental Champion. We can't have that. So, Dominic wins the title back.
Yeah, I think it is the most logical thing, right? If we had Cena with this title a little bit earlier in the year, like we did with the WWE Championship, we can talk about who's maybe gonna take it from him, what they can do. This is it. There's this match with Dom, and then the match with the tournament champion, who most likely will be Gunther. And that is it. So your 3 options for champion is John Cena, Dom, or Gunther, and it ain't gonna be Cena.
No. Uh, because unlike some legends, Cena, I think, will do the right thing and will put over whoever wins that tournament in his final match.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's this is going to this. Unfortunately, that does mean he's going to get to have 2 losses in a row to end his career, but it's going to establish Dominic Mysterio as a major player by beating him, and even though he doesn't need it, it'll lock Gunther in as a major player when that happens. So it is what it is, but I think it'll be a really fun match, and I'll be interested in seeing what Dominic does to actually win the match.
Yeah, I think that'll be the interesting thing. See what Dominic is going to do after this, who he's going to end up with, and yeah, we'll see how it all unfolds. But there is another championship match this weekend as well. Women's World Championship on the line. Stephanie Vaquer defending it against the recently heel turned Nikki Bella.
I'm struggling with this match. Um,
Yeah, that's fair.
uh, Part of me is like, I want to see Stephanie continue the championship run, see where they can take her. But part of me just wants to put up a middle finger to the internet and just have Nikki win
Can we go with the part of you that wants to see the reign continued?
it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's obviously Stephanie is just starting to kick off in her sort of position on the card. I don't know if it is the correct call to hand it over to Nikki. If you do, maybe a month or two and hand it back to Stephanie would be my preference there. But I don't think Nikki Bella needs accolades and needs championships, and we also don't know that she's on her way out or anything like that just yet. She's in this confusing state where she's showing up sometimes, not other times. I personally haven't heard anything about what her future looks like, so I'm gonna just stick with my favorite in this one and just go with Stephanie and hope that that title reign keeps going.
I flipped the coin twice. Because I'm like, I'll go best of 3 times. It landed on tails both times. That means Big Nikki Bella's winning.
All right, thank you very much, Josh's coin. Sorry, internet, the coin has said so. Women's War Games match. We've got Rhea Ripley and Io Sky teaming up with Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, as well as AJ Lee, taking on Nia Jackson Lash Legend, teaming up with the Kabuki Warriors and also Becky Lynch.
First off, I'm going to say that as interesting as like the segments have made me for the matches and stuff, neither match this year required the War Games match. And would have been better off being a traditional Survivor Series match. And I do include that in the men's one too. Um, I don't know. It just I think a lot of it has to do with injuries. I think injuries really hurt what could have been for these War Games matches. I also think the women's stuff just went on too long to get to here. Um, I just think the heel team is winning because I think they laid the groundwork for Charlotte Flair to turn on everybody. I'll be shocked if it's not a Charlotte Flair, but I think somebody's turning on that team.
Yeah, I think there's obviously a lot of character in that match with the 10 of them in there. Um, you're kind of right, Becky Lynch, AJ Lee, obviously going head to head, and then there's just four women's tag teams in there. Uh, could very well have been a fatal four-way tag team match, and you could have put a singles match with Becky Lynch and AJ Lee had this been any other pay-per-view. It's like when Hell in a Cell used to be a pay-per-view. You were kind of just, instead of saying, does this feud need this match, it more becomes, well, what feuds are we going to put in this match? And sort of makes it a requirement. When we get to November, we start talking about, all right, there's a women's war games and there's a men's war games. Who are we shoving in it this year? Occasionally, there's like a really good need for it, but when it's a scheduled part of the calendar, you're always going to get that. All right, we got to do it now. We got to put some people in.
Yeah, that's the reason. I don't. I think making it a mandatory part's the problem. I think if you did it for like special matches, special circumstances, special rivalries, um, which kind of was like what would happen back in the day, in Jim Crockett Promotions slash WCW. They pulled the match out for particular type of feuds. Um, just tacking it onto Survivor Series to save it from basically just being destroyed because it was, there were rumors of it being removed as a pay per view entirely, um, prior to having War Games tacked onto it. So it is what it is. I will say this: I'm glad on SmackDown this week we're having a traditional Survivor Series match. I wish it was on the pay per view, but I'm just glad we're having a traditional match.
Yeah, obviously, I think the thinking on that one is probably that 5 versus 5 matches is a bit too much, but yeah, we had I think we had a 5 versus 5 on NXT or just a little bit earlier as well. Um, I like the one that's on SmackDown. I think it'll be pretty good, and I'm with you. I don't know. War Games does feel like it is just one of those like brutal matches. You've got double cage, double ring. Sometimes it's just people who are slightly perturbed at each other. Maybe they don't need so much steel if they're just a little annoyed. In terms of who I think's going to win that women's War Games match, I'm with you. I think that the faces had a lot of combustible elements, be it Charlotte Flair, who's already hinted that she might not want to be there, be it Alexa Bliss, maybe unhappy at how Charlotte Flair has previously wanted to walk off, Sky and Ripley, sort of a team up of circumstances. We know those don't always last the longest. And yeah, we're not going to break up the Kabuki Warriors given they've got the titles. I don't see Becky Lynch flipping over to a face turn and Jackson Legend just starting off, so I don't really see them exploding either. All signs do point to the downfall of the faces. And then we jump over to the men's War Games match. On the face side, we got CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso. And then on the other side, on the heel side, we got Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Logan Paul.
I will say this: they have made me care about this match a lot more than I would have just a couple of weeks ago. The stuff that they've done the last 2 weeks, the comedy stuff that Brock Lesnar is doing. Let's face it, Brock Lesnar is like, if you told us when we started this podcast 10 years ago that this is the Brock Lesnar we would have right now, we would have called you crazy.
100%.
Um,
And
I
there you go.
Yeah, it's one of these things where it's like again, the Seth Rollins injury like really took the steam out of the what could have been. I think it would have been. I think Brock probably still would have been involved. I think it would have been uh, instead of Drew McIntyre, it would have been Seth Rollins. Um, I think it'll be a brutal match. I think multiple people will get busted open in this match. Um, I just think the faces win. I don't know why. It's probably the Roman Reigns effect, um, but yeah, I just don't see the Vision quotation marks winning here.
Yeah, obviously never bet against Roman Reigns, right? That does give them that little bit of an edge. I think when you're looking at it and you want to just look at it on paper, one side does have CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Roman Reigns, and instantly that side does have a whole lot of firepower, a whole lot of uh, support, chances to win the match. Jey Uso obviously also up there. Jimmy Uso, I think, a little bit less of a factor. You switch to the other side, Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed. We are trying to build them up. I do think it's been cut off a little bit with the Seth Rollins injury, but we got to work around injuries. We can't just play what if it hadn't happened. Drew McIntyre, pretty decent fill-in. Foil for Cody Rhodes on the other side makes a whole lot of sense. Brock Lesnar, their big firepower. Logan Paul has shown that he can have like great matches, but in terms of kayfabe power level, kind of a little bit all over the place. Sometimes amazingly high, and sometimes less so. So we'll have to see what Logan Paul, I guess, we get. If he is the fill-in for Seth Rollins, I could see his power level rising up a little bit more, putting up a bit more of a fight to try and stand opposite a CM Punk or a Roman Reigns. But we'll have to see how it all rolls out. I'm with you. I do think the names on the side of the faces does tend to give them the win. Had Seth Rollins been in this match, we could be talking a little bit more around who, been tossing up the odds a little bit more, but I got to tip the faces as well.
I'm going to say one other thing. For the love of God, Bronson Reed, do not jump off the cage this year.
That's fair. That is fair. All right, well, we will go into our entrance theme of the week, and as always, before a pay-per-view, it is that pay-per-view's theme playing for you now. Generals gathered in their masses. And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. Just before we get into NXT, do want to give our weekly update on the Last Time Is Now John Cena Final Opponent tournament. We're still talking Gunther as the favorite coming into this. We saw him defeat Javon Evans. We saw him defeat Carmelo Hayes this week. If we're looking, so he's already through to the semi-finals to go up against Solo Sikoa. Solo, who defeated Penta this week on Raw, thanks to a referee decision after a seeming shoulder dislocation, is what I'm hearing through the sound waves of Penta. Hopefully nothing crazy and nothing too major for Penta, but in terms of the tournament, it will be Gunther Sikoa in the semi-finals, which should be a win for Gunther, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a fine match between Gunther and Hayes, but yeah, nobody, not a soul on this planet would have picked Carmelo Hayes to beat Gunther. Not in any universe. There's no Dolph Ziggler's chance of that happening.
Yeah. And then you flip over to the other side of the bracket. Obviously, SmackDown was taped, so we can talk about those results. But Jey Uso, LA Knight advancing into their semi-final. All things do look to be pointing towards a Jey Uso Gunther rematch in the finals. Is that where you think it's all going as well?
No.
Or you picking Knight instead?
I'm picking LA Knight to give people a little bit of hope that maybe they're going to get the Megastar versus Cena before cruelly snuffing it out with a sleeper.
Good luck with that little bit of hope. Uh, but yeah, it's how it's looking. Those are the four men still left in the running. We've now had a Sheamus injury and a Penta injury, dropping people out of that tournament. It has been unfortunate, but this is the position we are in. Gonna jump over to NXT while we still have a little bit of time. Gold Rush Week 2. We've already talked about Week 1's results last week. Here we are now. WWE Evolve Championship was first up. Similarly to when we talked about them in the preview, I don't know a huge amount about the competitors of this match, but Jackson Drake did come out with the win, retain his Evolve Championship over Sean Legacy, and in the women's match, Kendall Gray also defended successfully her title against Lainey Reed.
Yeah. And again, we don't know anything. I don't know anything about the Evolved Men. Um, so it was fine. Um, and I think, and the heel and the champion and his crew were getting some decent heel reactions. So that's good. Um, I'm interested in seeing maybe if they'll do more stuff with them on on NXT to move them up, and then maybe by doing that, you can shift some people from NXT to the main roster, and not really miss a beat. Um, I think the same applies for the women's match too, where I think the women's champion for Evolve is ready to be on NXT. So I'm interested. I'm a little bit interested in that. It was a fine match. Um, Definitely. I would say probably the third best title match, but of the entire 2 nights. So fine.
There we go. Well, uh, talking back to the people that I know just a little bit more than the Evolve folk. Women's Speed Championship was on the line. Fallon Henley and Zarya. We already knew from the week before that Zarya and Sol Ruka getting closer and closer and closer to explosion. It was Zarya all on her own out there, and the numbers game came out on top. Fallon Henley did pick up the win. It did take a few overtimes, but she did pick up the win.
Yeah, and I think it was a good match, really good match. But the format is the problem. Having to have the general manager come out there and keep the match going is just really cheapens it. I think with the championship matches, it should not have a time limit. It should go until somebody wins. Because I think that's just more interesting. You can still have the time limits for normal matches or like what's the AEW call it when a champion faces somebody?
Know what you
Championship.
mean?
Yeah.
There's a name for
Uh,
it. Non-title
yeah.
matches.
Yeah, but I mean, if they call it a Pacific match when they have somebody challenge the champion in order to try to get a title match. I
Mhm.
just can't remember what they call it. But yeah, that the champion eliminator,
Mhm.
eliminator match. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. You can still have time limits on those, but you don't need one on the title match itself.
Yeah, I think I don't know. These titles obviously they made a whole lot of sense when you were doing it for Twitter, and you had a video length limit, and it all made sense. The whole thing could be packaged up 5 minutes a week, bada bing, bada boom. Now that it's a part of NXT, I think it's a little bit weirder. It sort of falls in like the Heritage Cup, where there's just some matches that are contested under completely different rules. Um, I don't know. I'm not going to poo poo it where we are now, but uh, I don't know what the longevity of these speed championships are in this format. But it's getting a bit of a show. Obviously, Zari and Solruka's story continues with it. Fatal influence combined into it now with the speed championship and the women's championship. So who knows what the future will hold for these two titles. Two more matches. Let's go with the last title match Well, first TNA Knockouts World Championship was on the line. We'd all predicted Kalani Jordan was probably going to come out on top. She did not, and it wasn't Jordan Grace either.
We did say that if the title did change hands, it would be Lee, since she is the TNA talent, that would take the title. And that's exactly what happened. But best match of the 2 weeks. By far the best match. I don't know what to say. It was a great match. The right person won in the end because it gets the title back to TNA, who could finally do something with their own championship.
Yeah, I think obviously they had a lot of unfortunates with their title scene. Um, Break glass, switch it over to Kalani, cool, put a story into it, return it back as soon as possible, and continue whatever they need to do with TNA over there. I think they've got to rebuild that knockouts division, and Lee is an amazing part of it to start the rebuild.
It is really sad, though, that it took her going to TNA for her to actually have a moment in a WWE ring. I mean,
Yeah,
because we went for like 2 years straight saying Xia Li is amazing. She is the future if they wanted to push her, and they just would not do it.
yeah. It was, debut starts, amazing stuff. We thought it was good. Tien Sha, alright, comes out on SmackDown, like, okay, main roster Xia Li. Doesn't do a whole hell of a lot. Gets drafted around and just sort of fades out. And yeah, you're right, goes over to TNA, is getting that showcase, is currently their top talent, right? Their Knockouts world champion. Happy to see her get it. I want to see more from her. Um, don't think like she needs to come back to WWE at the end of it all, but if she does take the Drew McIntyre path, go off and prove yourself outside and come on back, so be it. But I think right now she's in a good position, especially as they do start to rebuild that knockouts division. Uh, Last match on the card, it was Miles Bourne versus Trick Williams. It was for a men's Iron Survivor Challenge spot, and Miles Bourne comes out on top, defeating Trick Williams. We hoped for it, and we got it.
Yeah. I could definitely say without a shadow of a doubt, not only was that the right call, they're building Miles Bourne up that I think he could seriously be within the next 2 or 3 months the next NXT champion. I don't think he wins the Iron Man match, but but it would not surprise me, and I'd be very for it. But we do now know who the 5 men will be in the Iron Survivor match: Javon Evans, Leon Slater, TNA's Leon Slater, Joe Hendry, who is officially a WWE on WWE contract, Dion Lennox, not and then Miles Bourne. I think the two most likely to win the match is Joe Hendry and Miles Bourne.
Yeah, I think, yeah, when you list them out, obviously Javon Evans, Leon Slater still doing their feud. Dion Lennox, I think will be that one that gets, a couple of eliminations and get a good show, but I think it would be too much of a jetpack to send him up the card for that NXT Championship match. Whereas a Joe Hendry probably doesn't need to win the Iron Survivor Challenge to go for a title shot. I reckon he could just walk in, kind of get one as he wanted. But Miles Bourne is that guy, I think, who deserves to be shot on up the card. I want to see it. Let's go all in. Joe Hendry more likely, but I ain't gonna be sad if it's Miles Bourne.
Yeah. And I think it's beyond time for Trick to move on. Uh, I think with us getting closer to the Royal Rumble, I think maybe 1 or 2 matches might be it for him in NXT at this point. Um, but I think think there's a strong chance he makes his debut in the Rumble.
That's fair. I'd believe it. Well, we're almost out of time, but I do just want to mention also the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge competitors. We got Sol Ruka, Lola Vice, Kalani Jordan, Jordan Grace, and Kendall Gray as a bit of an outsider in that one as well. But I'm sure we'll talk more about our predictions for those matches as well as the NXT Championship match at Deadline as we get closer to it. But that is all we have time for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling R&D up our YouTube, our Twitter page first, twitter.com/wrestling R&D up our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling RND up, and we will catch you next week.